Talk about our backslides?
Yeah.
Or probably don't want to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it.
I mean, I think it's important to talk about the backslide. So just so you guys know, like, what a backslide is. And so essentially is that we're rocking. Like, we're doing great habits-wise, in the sense of that eating good, working out, being very constructive with our time and, really feeling so great about it, like ourselves. And it was just a difficult time happened, and we let it become an excuse, which then led to us having a backslide.
Yeah. So we went through like kind of a tough time in our personal lives back towards the beginning of February. So we're going on about 2 months ago now, and we have not recovered. So it's not funny, obviously.
No, I think it's like funny because like it's not funny, but I think it's kind of like we have to laugh at the fact that we now realize that in this backslide, it has only made it harder.
Yeah, of course, right? So I've talked before on the podcast about how I did 75 hard, and obviously anyone who knows it's a really difficult thing to complete, and it's so much hard work, right? And I was doing great, and I kind of took the month of January off just to like, let my body recoup from double workouts every day and stuff like that. And but I was still eating really healthy. I was still walking, all those things. And so I maintained and everything throughout January. And then at the beginning of February was when that thing kind of happened. And I am such an emotional eater, and it's something that I'm trying to deconstruct in my mind. And I have some ideas on why I'm such an emotional eater. Food's definitely a comfort for me. Like, I grew up in a family that food was like really important, right? I mean, it still is, right?
You and I kind of like we started kind of processing through that, like, because obviously we associate food with a good time because of, like, especially with like your family, like, everyone gets together in Nana's on Sundays, and it's like the whole family's there, and so it's just nothing but love and fun,
right? And like
associate the good food with that, and so
yeah, like we always had dinner together as a family in my house, and then like once or twice a week we would go eat at Nana's, and Nana always had food, and Nana is such a good cook. It is such a good cook, and I think I love food. Like, I grew up eating like really good homemade food, and I've always just, some people, like my mom, as an example, like she just eats to live, but like I live to eat. Like,
right.
And I'm one of those people that when I'm sad, when I'm upset, I want to eat. I want the comfort of eating, and it's disordered, and it's something I really need to break down and like try to recognize it as I do it. But when that happened in our life, like I ate and ate and ate and ate, and I stopped exercising consistently. I still would kind of like here or there, go for a walk, like, whatever. I lost 25 pounds when I did 75 hard, which brought me down to 50 pounds total from my highest. But I still wanted to lose another 25. And it took me 75 days to lose 25 pounds. And like I've said to you a few times, like it literally takes like
5 days.
5 days to put on 5 pounds. You can just do it so easily. And, now I'm kind of back in that same place that I was prior to doing 75 hard of gaining and losing the same 5 pounds over and over again.
Space of like that rut, like you just find yourself in like this fucking rut again. And like, like for me, when February happened, I didn't, I don't know, it was so tough. Like, I think I tried to block it out, and then subconsciously it just absolutely derailed me.
Yeah, I think it was creeping in where you didn't even realize it.
Correct. And so, like, I was just trying my hardest to keep everything together, because obviously it's like, I'm the man, I'm the father, I'm the husband, like I'm trying to stay strong for everybody, and so I'm just like, I don't have the time right now to be emotional, right? I just need to just be strong. And it put me in such a mental fog that I just like you, it's like, I love food. Like food is like a comfort to me, right? And because that just brings me joy, in a sense, because I associate it with good things. And, I'll never forget, like, getting back, like, that day, and I'm like, I'm ordering a calzone.
Right. And that, like, and just so everyone knows, like, leading up to that day, you had been on a very, very strict diet.
Oh my God.
Remember, like, I was making, like, very specifically measuring out chicken breast, like measuring out broccoli, like,
yeah, like, I literally ate the same thing every single day at the same time every single day. It was like regimented. Like, I weighed out everything. This is what I was eating. That was it. And, I gave myself the excuse, in the sense, I'm like, life is so hard right now. I can't. Life is so hard that I just need something to be easy. And it was a cop-out, complete and absolute cop-out. And in me thinking that, right, and me thinking, well, this is like, life's so hard right now, I see something to be easy, that I took an easy way out, so much to think, but it only amplified everything, because now all these good habits that I was developing, like how I was feeling good because I was eating right, and like I didn't feel like ass, like I didn't feel so weighted down, like, or so bogged down. Me working out, like, I had energy. Then I went, I stopped working out, so then therefore I started feeling tired. I started like, oh man, like I started feeling so bogged down. And at that point now, like, you're just backsliding. Like, one thing I can honestly say that we didn't do is that we didn't drink again.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I am really proud of us for not being like, you know what, I need a drink, because if ever there was a time.
Right. And like, for me, what was crazy was that, like, I didn't get the cravings to drink. I never had cravings leading up to that, but there was times like, I'm like, man, like, I just want a bourbon.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, that was like kind of like one of those things. I'm just like, and it's such a slippery slope. Like, it's just kind of like, now, like, you're just like, now, like, you're falling down the mountain, you're just clawing, and you're just trying not to freaking, but like, you're just going down, and it's just so tough. And it's like, it's just, obviously it's something that, like, we're not holding each other accountable, because we understand one another. It's just like, you're sad, I'm sad, and like, we're coping, and this is how we're coping.
Right. But in using those skills, those are not skills. Those are not skills that we should be using to cope, right? Because by doing the easier things in those moments, we're making it harder, right? Because for me personally, like, when I eat like shit and I don't work out, that's when my anxiety and my overstimulation kick back in. So my anxiety is already here from the situation that we're going through, and it's just lingering here. Now I'm eating like shit and I'm not working out, and it's like, I'm surprised you can't see it coming out of my head.
Yeah, it's just compounding, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly where it was. And then, like, for me, it's like, it would just lead into, like, because I have like this fog, that I'm just kind of like, now I can't do the stuff I need to do. And I realize that it's become harder for me to do the things that I need to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, it was already hard enough as is. Like I already have a problem with just focusing on doing the shit that I have to do. Now let's amplify it even more because of all these other, like, I'm basically like shooting myself in the foot. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're making things harder.
It so much harder for ourselves and thinking that but do you know what it is? It's that instant gratification. It's that instant gratification of like, well, I can eat this calzone right now. I'm going to feel good for this fucking
5 minutes,
for
maybe.
the first bite.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then like, obviously, because like dairy, like we're getting old now. And so like we can't eat fucking dairy now. But it's like little stupid stuff like that. Like, and like cheese or stuff like that. And then like all of a sudden we feel like we have a lead weight in our stomachs and there's all these different things. And it's just like, but then all it is you're just doing is that now you're just feeding yourself more just so you can just keep on feeling that little hit of like.
Yes, the dopamine hit, that initial hit.
And that's kind of like the hardest thing about it. And
you just notice, right? Like when we start eating like that, when we stop working out, right? Then it's like, instead of reading, we're on our phones. You know, instead of like doing something productive where, you know, sitting there watching a show or something, when like that's not something we would normally do.
Right.
For me, it's like I hate the example that we're setting for the kids because it's basically showing them like when things get hard, it's just okay to just give up.
So it's, you know, when you said that, like I was literally going to say that, like for me, you know, one of my great friends, he literally like a brother to me, is John, right? And John will be on the show eventually, but you know, in that I talk to him all the time because, like, I mean, he's a huge motivation for me. Like, he's in this gym 7 days a week, killing it. The guy's an absolute specimen.
Super disciplined,
super disciplined. And you know, when I have the backslide, he's somebody that kind of like
slaps me back,
and stuff like that. And like, you know, I love him for that. And it's like, you know, I was talking to him, and I'm like, you know, what's crazy was that like when I was at my peak, like when I was rocking, like, and both killing it, you know, I think about how it translated to the girls and how the girls, like friends like Mia, more specifically, like Mia would be like, she set a huge goal. I want to go to Phillips.
Yep.
She's going to study help every day. She's doing this and she's doing that and she's rocking it. Like, oh, I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go get a workout in. She's rocking it. Yeah. Like, kiddo, like, good for you. Like, if you want something, you got to work for it. Boom, boom, boom. Then I noticed that when I backslid and, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing something and I'm not. I noticed that she would then make choices to not do the things that she wanted to do. But then here I am saying to her, she's like, oh, I'm not going to go to extra help this morning. Well, why not? Oh, I'm just like tired and stuff like that. I'm like, well, you're not going to get into Phillips if you choose to do that.
Right. But meanwhile, the choices that we're making aren't putting us closer to our goals. Right.
And then that's when it hit me. And I'm like, dude, you're a fucking hypocrite. Like, I'm like, what are you even saying right now to this kid? Like, who are you to say anything right now? Like, it's like you're not leading by example. And then that's when it hit me. That's when it hit me. That I'm like, man, like, she was rocking it because she was saying this, and like, these are conversations I have with John. He like in how he is, and like, and how his kids are with him, and that they're like, oh yeah, I like stuff like that, and like, and I'm like, yeah, like that makes complete sense. Like, you're leading by example, like, and you know, and his kids are crushing it in that sense. It's like Callie and Sean, like they kill it, and everything that they're doing too. And it's just like, and it's awesome. It's awesome to see. And I'm just like, man, I'm hurting my kids, and not even thinking that. I don't only think I'm hurting myself, right? Like, I only
not even think that they're noticing.
Yeah, right. That they're noticing, but then we don't understand like the ripple effect that it happens from that.
And they might not even be consciously noticing, but subconsciously they are.
Right. And then that's what I'm saying. So it's like for me as my job as a parent is to notice that and notice like, well, where is that coming from? And then like, well, shit, it's me. I'm doing
Yeah. I'm not showing them any different.
that. Right. Like I'm showing them like this is the way how you handle when things get rough.
Isn't that crazy too? Because so many people parent like that. Like, oh, your room's a mess. Like your room's a disaster. Like, how can you live like that? Meanwhile,
Yeah.
they're a slob,
Yeah.
right?
It's
like how can you expect your kids to do something that you're not doing
yourself, right?
they're just human too.
Right. And so it's just like, and I think that's something that, you know, in that being sense, like now it's cause for me to like, I want to understand, because the problem is that this is like my cycle, like, right?
Yeah,
like this
me
is like
too.
my ebbs and flows in the sense of that, like, exactly. You and I will become cognizant of it. We're fucking gunning, oh, yeah, we'll do it, and then we're doing it, and then all of a sudden backslide. Then we get another freaking burst away, and oh, okay, yeah, we're going backslide. And then it's just like, it's the same thing, and like, it's just constant thing. So I'm like, this time around, I'm like, no. The same problem keeps on happening. Why is it happening?
Yeah.
Why is this a problem? Why am I still allowing this to happen? So this is the first time that I actually stopped to take a proactive approach in the sense of like, okay, you know what? I need to address why I do this. Like, why is it that I feel this? And so therefore it's led me to start deep diving into the theory behind it, like in the thoughts behind it and the process of like, you know what, I'm making these decisions based on, you know, my past or seeing this, well, understanding that it's instant gratification, right? That was a big thing for me.
It's number one for me is instant gratification.
Right.
Because I'm very much like an all or nothing person. So like instead of just implementing small habits that are easy to maintain, even when things are rocky in our life, you know, I'm either running 6 miles a day every day for, 6 months, or I'm like sitting on my ass.
Yeah.
On the couch. You know?
And that's like kind of like one of those things. It's just like you and I talked about it. Like when we got so mad at got mad at ourselves. We're just like, what the fuck? Like we were doing so well. Like and it's because we want to do better for ourselves, and that we're just kind of like, you know, it's gonna be hard regardless.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard regardless. And that was like what we realized. I'm like, we didn't make this any easier for ourselves. We made it harder.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's like lumping off both of our feet. Like, it's like we made it so much harder for ourselves. And underneath the guise of this little feeling for like let's say, like you said, that dopamine hit. And like I said, it's like in conversations I have with John, he would say, he's like, Kyle, he's like, me, I go 7 days a week because I know if I just take one day off, one's going to lead to two, two's going to lead to three, three's going to lead to five. And then he's like, I'm back in the same place.
If the next thing you know, you never go to the gym again. That's
right.
me. Like,
and that's just kind of like how it is. It's like we give ourselves these excuses, right? And that's what they are. It's excuses. It's nothing else. It's an excuse we're giving to ourselves.
Yeah, we keep breaking promises to ourselves too that
Facts.
we would never break to anybody else.
Right. And like we would let ourselves down before we will let anybody else down. But it's like the worst way to think.
It's the worst way to think.
It's the worst way to think, because it's just like, what good are we to those other people if we're not at our best? We would only benefit everybody else that's in our life by us being at our best. That's the great thing about it. And that's the thing is, it's like, that's like the mindset that we have to kind of like develop. And obviously in being human, right, we're going to make these mistakes. Obviously in being human, it's like, but also I think a lot of it's the fact of like us addressing all these past issues and these past traumas and in us deep diving for a deeper understanding, right? That we're able to kind of like, I think, finally remedy this. Like, so like, for instance, like for me, one thing that's been helping me out tremendously, and I never thought it would, and this is something that I want to share with you, I haven't shared it with you yet, is like reading. So I started reading more. Like before, I used to give myself a goal of like, you know what, I'm going to read 15 pages, right? Or I'm going to read 15 minutes. Now I read to read. And let me tell you something. I read this book that I'm reading right now has been helping me out tremendously as well, which is Hidden Potential, The Art of Achieving, The Science of Achieving Greater Things. Great book. But in that book, I remember I told you, like, when I was a kid, I used to love to read. And I had that imagination that, like, as I'm reading this book, the book is coming to life in my head. I have not had that passion since I was a little kid. The other day, as I'm reading this book, it came back. And I can't tell you how happy it made me. As I'm reading this book, it's like the movie is playing in my head. Like that imagination is starting to wake up. And I felt great. And I started realizing, I'm like, wow, Mike. So like John would always tell me, he's like, bro, he's like, wake up, I get my workout in, start the day with a W.
Yeah.
And I'll always hear his voice, like, because like, while he's out there, he's doing his workout, he shares his treadmill pick, and start the day with a W, like, I'll share my book pick.
Yeah.
Like, that's my W. Right now, that's my W. Like, I'm going to be here with him. Like that's, I know that's my goal, because, like, also in doing that, I'll meditate for, like, 15 minutes.
Yeah. Because you're building that habit.
Correct.
Because I just read a book recently, and obviously anyone who knows me knows that I'm a voracious reader. But a nonfiction book that I read, it's called Atomic Habits. And it's basically about how implementing these little tiny behaviors every day can change your life. And it's basically like a building block. The example that he uses is he hated to floss, but he like really needed to start. And so he started by flossing one tooth. Literally, he would floss one tooth. And when he was done, he would cheer for himself. Like he would say like, oh my God, you did such a good job. You flossed that one tooth even though you didn't want to. And then next thing you knew, he was flossing every tooth. Like, you know what I mean? Eventually. Right? So like, obviously your goal is to like get where John is, like fitness wise, right? But like you're building, you're stacking habits, right? Like you're building those smaller habits to be able to get to that point.
Right. And so like, and like the way how like my book that I'm reading, it's called Scaffolding. So
it's a book podcast.
Yeah. On today's Meg's, what was it?
Meg's next chapter.
Meg's next chapter. Follow her. But you know, like the friends, like in my book, it's like building scaffolding. But also the way in how scaffolding is building is that not so much as you yourself, it's also scaffolding can be people.
Mm.
So like for me, John's a scaffold. Like he's somebody that he supports me in those times. And so like, you know, like I tell him like almost like whenever him and I talk, like how much I appreciate him because like he helps me out immensely, mentality wise. But in building that scaffolding, right? So it's like, and how it's translating to me. I've noticed that if I start my day with reading the book, I'll read probably about like 30 to 45 pages. Now, like 30 to 45 pages,
that's
like that was, now I'm like cruising through books.
Yep.
And for me, that was unheard of. I just couldn't do it. My attention span never lasted for that long. And now I notice that the days that I would read, then I'll go into the car rather than listen to music or whatever, or sit in silence. I'll put on another book, put on an audiobook. I'll finish my other books and I go, wow, like I'm taking in information, right? But then I realized that in doing that, it's helped me out with feeling more confident in speaking. I definitely feel that I can articulate things a lot better. I don't feel myself the need to find words or where I'm stuttering or I'm doing this, doing that. Overall, it's like much better mental clarity.
Yeah.
And I'm able to have conversations with people in a much different way. So I'm like, I'm developing something that I know that, like, when I do like my meditations, the guy that I see, there's a guy, when I do my meditation, I see who I am, who I'm going to become. I see that person, and that person's, fit in that suit, addressing a crowd, and it's telling a story or leading my guys, but we're doing something big. It's nothing little. We're doing something big. That's when I see myself. And I just realized, so therefore, all these things that I'm implementing right now I never thought in a million years, reading. And it kind of goes back to, like, a previous chapter, we talked about it before on the podcast, like the story, like the book that the story gives about with Steve Martin, right?
Yeah.
And how he hated writing.
Yeah.
And just had to swallow the frog. Like, hated reading. Because I don't know, I just couldn't do it. And I just, like, I just need to do it. And just like how John tells me, it's a non-negotiable. Like you need to just, like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, you wake up, you go to work. You don't have a choice.
Just like I get up and take care of the kids every day, regardless of if I'm sick, regardless of how I feel.
It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing of, like, I gotta basically tell myself, I have no option. If I do not start my day like this, it's not a matter of, like, because at that point I'm still giving myself
You're giving yourself an out.
An out.
Yeah.
I'm starting my day this way. And so, because what was ended up happening, like, before, like, when we first met, I had no problem waking up at 4.
Right.
After the backslide, 6.
Yeah.
I could not jag my ass out of bed.
Right. And then it's like the whole thing that, like, you're waking up and you're just grabbing your phone and you're scrolling. And I've read so much about this that because scrolling provides you with those dopamine hits, that if for the first hour of the day, first thing you do is you're picking up your phone and you're scrolling all day, your body is in search of that dopamine. So it doesn't mean you're picking up your phone all day, but maybe you're grabbing something shit to eat because you're looking for that dopamine rush, or you know what I mean? Like, you're doing something that that's not good for you because your body is literally, like, wanting that dopamine rush.
Yeah, that instant gratification.
Yeah, so when I was doing 75 hard, the first hour of my day, I wouldn't even look at my phone. Remember, I was keeping my phone outside of our bedroom. Yep. And I would set the alarm, and so that way I had to get up, and I would go get it. I kept my phone on just in case any of the kids, like, needed me or in case of emergency or whatever. But it was out of the bedroom, and for the entire first hour of the day, I wouldn't even look at it. And you know what's crazy? Throughout the day, I wouldn't even care about my phone. Like, I wouldn't know where it was. I was reading on my Kindle, so I didn't need it for reading. Even, like, at a red light or something, when normally I would pick it up and, like, scroll through Instagram, I didn't even care to. And it's because I wasn't getting that hit first thing in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Like, when you told me that was something that I'm like, I needed to really work on, because, like, for me, it's like because, like, obviously it's like my phone will go into sleep mode. I'll get late night texts, or I'll get texts from the guys. And so therefore, like, especially if the guys have an early start, I'm like, all right, like, hey, this door's not open. This is that, the other thing. So, like, I'm addressing issues or something like that. But it was only a problem if I was waking up at 6.
Exactly.
If I went back to waking up at 4,
you don't need your phone for the first hour.
I don't need my phones for those hours. So that's what I realized. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like,
everything's an excuse.
It's an excuse.
Everything's an excuse.
Because, like, and that's like what I'm saying. Like, if I went back to starting my day at 4, no one's sending me texts Or if I'm getting an email, it's a shitty email.
Yeah.
Like it's at the infomercial in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
It's like
Exactly.
that's the email that you're getting. Like I'm not getting anything of any
Importance until after 5.
Right, facts. So exactly. You after 5, after 6. So I'm like saying, like, I have like that time that I can be to myself. So like now it's like now, like, I'll get up. I'm getting up at 4, and I'll go down. I'll grab my book. I'll go downstairs, and I'll read. And I'll read to a point where right now, my kind of like my stop, like my limit, I'll read a chapter. So now I'm like, I'll read a chapter in a sitting. My reading's picking up. Like I'm reading faster now. So like now I'll basically do like I realize I'll probably read for about like 20 to 30 minutes. So it'll be like a chapter and a half. Cause like there's sometimes like if it's a really good chapter, I'll go back and you kind of like read, like I highlight a lot. And then after that, I'll go do like a meditation. And then like in that meditation, but exactly, like there's like that first like 45 minutes of like my day, like I just have so much mental clarity that I'm just kind of like, all right, like I feel great right now.
Right. And what should be happening is like when you are done with that, I should be waking up and going and doing a workout and having my coffee, because like I said, like one of my chief complaints right now is that I have no time to myself. Like I have no quiet. But I know for a fact that if I wake up before the kids and I exercise, that I can then sit there with my coffee for 15 to 20 minutes before they get up. And that's a way better way to start my day. I can read because that's what I like to do anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm like setting my alarm for 6:30.
When you
what I have to.
That's
my non-negotiable time, right? Because I gotta get everybody up. I gotta get everybody dressed, breakfast. Like these kids for breakfast during the week want eggs, bacon, homemade bread. They want like it's not like, but they don't. They don't want cereal, you know.
It's like a diner.
Their hair, I have to be out of the house at 8:15. So me setting the alarm for 6:30, like I'm setting myself up for failure. And then I'm rushing the kids, and I hate doing that. Like, come on, guys, we gotta go. We're gonna be late for school. We're gonna
scramble, like that anxiety. And like then expecting for them to not be anxious for the day,
right? And that's not their fault. And like, I keep going back to when I was doing 75 hard, but I think it's just because like I was so disciplined at that time. There were literally mornings that I had so much time, I would like clean out closets in our house, or like clean a bathroom. Because, like, I had so much time.
Do you want to know what's crazy? Is that it's like, just dawned on me, and I don't know why I took the size of for me to even make this correlation, but like we said, like John says, it's a non-negotiable. The reasons why 75 hard worked for you is because that's a non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable.
Like, if you don't do that, you fail.
Yeah, but it's crazy, right? Because it's still like I'm the one implementing the non-negotiable. Like even though it's a program, like no one's stopping me from failing. If I fail, I fail.
Right, but
I've tried to do it again since then, and I can't.
Right, but that's like my point is that I think it's a matter of like being so fed up, right? And I think that's like where the underlying part of it is. It's just like, we waited to a point of like us being fed up to the point where it's just like, enough's enough. We're fucking doing this. And that's why we did it. Right now, enough isn't enough.
Right.
And so therefore we're still making those bad habits and those bad choices.
Yeah, but it's like, what am I gonna do? Like gain all that weight back, and then I'm like, oh my God, I have to do it again. But then I'm just losing the serum. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
right.
It's stupid.
Yeah, it's losing what you already lost.
It's just stupid. I just wonder like why, like.
But I think that's where the success, you find the success, because the thing is, like, I know, like, for me, in addressing the problems and in understanding why it is that I'm doing it, like the mental aspect of it, because that's the thing is,
that's what it is.
It's that mental toughness.
It's
that discipline, and it's like I said, like, John, it's exactly what we talk about all the time. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it is John, he reminded me of something that I said to him, and he's like, Kyle, he's like, there's times he's like, you gave me great advice at one point, and that advice I gave him, I was like, you know what, John, I'm like, you're not that same person anymore. Don't say that you can't do this when you've done things 100 times harder and you've succeeded. You're not that person anymore. And then he was like, Kyle, was like, I got to remind you of what you said to me. And he said that to me. All right. I'm not that person. I'm not that person that gives up. I'm not that person that makes excuses. I've been working my ass off to become someone better and different for myself and for my family. And when I look at it that way, why would I want to go back to becoming that person? That person who I hate. That person that kept me here and kept me in a dark place where I wasn't happy. And I'm just like, you're right, dude. Like, I'm not that person anymore. But I'm letting myself believe that I still am. And that's what I'm unlocking. And I feel better knowing that I'm on the right path and that I am building those blocks, those small blocks, or the scaffolding, whatever it is you want to call it. I'm putting those things in place for me to climb up. And it, like, the way how the book explains it too, it's sometimes you need to go backwards to create a new, because this is what ends up happening. We make our changes, then we plateau. And we're no longer moving forward. And we're just moving, but it's like running in the same place. Because what happens is that our mind hits that point of limitation. Well, this is where I've always got myself to, and this is where I always went back. And you do it in a subconscious way. So you're almost like waiting for it. Right?
That's really true, because I never thought of that before. But since I've like had weight on me, or my weight has fluctuated, I've always gone back. Like the weight that I've gotten to after I've lost weight, that's the lowest that I've gotten.
You
and
automatically.
I wonder if I'm just like, well, this is just how much weight I can lose. This is how fit I can be.
You automatically cap yourself, right? And you hit that plateau. And then it starts a backslide. So you're constantly just doing this.
Yeah.
So the way the book explains it is that you go back. No, it's not the time to go back to where you were. It's now you need to basically be like, well, I still need to get there. So how do I do that? And so that's why they say you build scaffolding. The thing is, and then you just make those things, right? Make those changes. You make those small little changes. Difference is that sometimes it may feel like it's moving at a glacier's pace.
Yeah, well, right? That's, I think, our problem, right? Because, like, we keep saying the instant gratification. I'm like, well, I want to lose 30 pounds. Like, I want to lose 30 pounds by next month.
Right. So
I don't want it to take a year.
Right.
What does it matter? The year is going to go by whether I lose the 30 pounds or not.
Right. And so, like, the thing is that there's sometimes in movement, even though we may feel like, so like the way how they kind of give you the mental imagery, right, is that it's like ascending a mountain, right? You ascend a mountain and say, like, you're in a car. Think of, like, Mount Washington, right?
No, thank you.
But here, like, you go up this steep hill. All of a sudden, guess what? Your car's just not making it.
Yeah.
It's just like cars sliding back. Cars, it's just, no matter how much gas you put, it just does not have the oomph to get forward, right? You pull off. But then you see that certain mountains, in a cylinder, it's a gradual climb around that mountain like this. and it's steep. And even though it's 100 different windings, 100 different turns, you're slowly making it up that mountain.
You still get to the top eventually.
Still get to the top eventually. And so therefore, that's the way in how I've basically retrained. I'm retraining my mind in the sense of like, you know what? My approach should not be just jumping back in the gym.
Yeah, just balls out.
Just balls out.
Yeah.
Because I've done that.
And it has
I'll
worked.
do it and I'll backslide.
Well, it works, but only for a short amount of time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Where am I failing? I need to do something different. I need to reassess something. So therefore, I need to work on my mental. Because for me, like my muscle memory and all that stuff like that, you see me lose weight.
Yeah.
As soon as I put my mind to it, drop it. Done. But why do I keep on going back?
Right.
Why do I keep on doing that?
So
That's the problem. It's like my mental is not right.
Yeah. You have to get those building blocks in place.
Right.
Before you, and then that becomes just something else that you do every day.
Correct. And that's
no matter what.
But that's the stuff that I think is truly what makes me feel better about myself. Because the fact that I can articulate and I'm understanding things more and I'm feeling better about myself in that way, like I feel that I'm speaking correctly, that I feel smarter, right? Like, and how much that matters to me. More than just looking good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just one of those things, like being able to think and move differently, right? And working on that personal part of me. Because I know that as soon as like my mind is locked in.
Yeah, as soon as your inner self is good, your outer self is going to follow.
Facts. You start from the inside out. And that was my reassessment. That was my reassessment of like, this is not working. I need to come up with a new strategy, a new game plan.
Kind of like when you met me.
Facts. It's facts. It's exactly that. I was doing the same thing over and over and over again. Right? And one day I'm just like, this is not working. But yet we still make the same fucking mistakes all the time. And it's just like, because we can't get out of our own way. And that's where lunacy, that's insanity to me.
Yeah, the definition of crazy, right? It's
right.
Doing the same thing over and over again and
expecting a different result. And that's just the thing. And, you know, and obviously in this conversation, I know it's probably getting your wheels spinning. It's just like, well, right, I do the same thing. All the time.
All the time. Same thing.
I'll get go over and I'll do this and doing that. So what do I need to be working on first?
Yeah. I am thinking.
But I think that's really just what it is. And I think that if there's ever been a moment in my life right now that the guy that I see in my meditation is becoming clearer, is that.